Good evening. Today I'd like to bring to you the concept of blended learning. Now this is a buzzword in education, especially right now since most of our students are learning at home and we're wondering where we're going to be in September. Now blended learning can come in many different facets. I think that my school can benefit from moving towards a specific form of blended learning. Now I work in a school district that thankfully has a one-to-one computer to student ratio. Well, that's not blended learning, that's just technology at that point. But we've moved to have a structure that can support a fantastic new development. The blended learning that I propose is students meeting in person in the classroom with their teachers in smaller groups for a smaller portion of the week. The face-to-face learning key is very important for teachers, for students, for the feeling of community. It's also important to add online practice to the blended learning environment. Many different subject areas require practice before students are able to express their learning in different ways. But that brings us to the third point, real life application. That's very important. It's not going to show mastery on necessarily an exam, but it's going to give the student the opportunity to process that learning in a way that is unique to them. It's their own. They've created it. They own it. It's their product. When you consider technology in education, and my school district has definitely gone through different barriers, you need safe and researched access to tried and true methods. Not every software is going to be helpful. Some of the barriers that you have in your environment for internet resources at home, that's definitely a challenge that a school district is going to need. My school district specifically is going to need to look at if this is going to be something that we would be able to work with for the coming school year. Teachers need experience with that technology. There are studies that show that educators who have low self-esteem based on inexperience with technology, they don't use them in the classroom. They don't take that innovative leap. Well, if we're considering destructive innovation, we're right here, we're at the time. We're not a principal who's staring at a staff suggesting new methods of teaching. We are educators that are required, based on our circumstances and the environment, to reinvent ourselves. That's fantastic. We're at a time that we can do that. We may never see a time like this again. So we need to be able to experience that technology and understand that technology so we can be comfortable with it. It might take by the end of October before we're all on the same page and we're all comfortable with it. But it's also important that teachers are on the same page and they're using the same format. So students aren't learning methods for sharing that are different from class to class. That's natural. My school district doesn't face that challenge. We use Google Classroom, we use Cami, we use certain apps that are functional and work for our different forms of expression all across the board. Now, if you need training, our district really needs to make sure that they're on the ball with training, with troubleshooting, and with making modifications as necessary quickly. Some modifications that we've needed in the past have taken 6 months to come out and have seriously impacted the learning, and that's definitely something that we'll need to change in the future. Now, our face-to-face schedule isn't going to be a Monday through Friday, 8:25 to 3:25. That's not going to happen. It's never going to happen. It's not going to happen in this format. If you think about college students, they are coming 2-3 times a week for a far shorter period of time. You're mastering much more complex concepts. The idea of coming into a classroom every single day full of peers and spending all of that time learning in the factory style isn't blended learning. This isn't what I'm proposing. I'm proposing that we're splitting the school up into smaller segments, and our learners are coming into smaller classrooms and meeting for fewer times throughout the week. Now, this has even greater advantages for the 6th, 7th, and 8th grader, and even the high schooler. As studies show, I've been looking at this for years, studies show time after time that the adolescent mind isn't alert at 6 o'clock in the morning. And a recent study that I just looked at shares that your students will increase their attendance if the start time is later. It helps with their mental health if the start time is later. And the fact of the matter is that can happen with a adjusted school schedule. Students can also do their independent practice at their own hours. They don't necessarily have to learn at 6 o'clock in the morning. They can sleep in. They might be working on a project at 7 o'clock at night after their favorite television show airs. Now, the online practice, again, sometimes I can get pushback on what online practice looks like. And in different topics like math, sometimes it's necessary. Sometimes you need to see a various number of questions that historically were done on worksheets. Well, there are great softwares that are free that exist out there that students can research, explore, and get the same base level of instruction as the rest of their class. Now, not every software fits every environment. Not every software fits every school community. So it's important that schools vet these technologies and these softwares very closely. It's really important. You've seen this for years where a school district will dump thousands of dollars into the next bet, and it doesn't work out. Books sit on shelves, software is never used, or it's never used to its potential because there was something in that software that created a major barrier of education that was specific to that community, and the software developer wouldn't change it. So the software was ineffective, the budgets were spent, and the resources were already allocated, they couldn't be moved. Now, real life applications, this is an important key to this blended learning because I really believe that progressivism is an important form of education as it gives real learning. Everything that I do in my life is project based. That's how real life works. Unless we're gearing people up to work and pull a lever in a factory or to flip hamburgers, they're going to be working on projects their entire life. Even in their personal life, they're going to be working on projects. Developing yourself, applying for college is project-based. All of it is. Now, teachers will present challenges to the students, and the students will find their own creative ways to meet those challenges, to find solutions using some of the tools that the teachers have shared with them, and will present that learning in their own wonderful way. Now, there are some challenges for this for teachers to create these dynamic challenges and to grade these challenges. So the rubrics are going to have some leeway in has the student learned? Is the student demonstrating these skills? And so it's a challenge for teachers to shift to this method, and it's a challenge to learners to shift to this method because an 8th grader has spent more of his life in a standardized factory classroom and has done very little in the form of important and intricate projects. So this is a time that everyone is going to be disrupted. It's absolutely true. I love that term, and I really am honest here. We are at a time of disruptive innovation, and it's not grant money is drying up. It's not the state is requiring it. It's all of society is requiring change, and we're at a time where we have to meet that change. We have to grow. We have to innovate. Now's the time to do it, and we should do it the best possible way. I really, truly, personally feel that in 5 years we're going to have a ton of research studies from all of the different schools across the country that have tried and all of the different approaches that they have gone through. And we're going to really see how we can move forward 5 years after that. This is breaking ground on life-changing and industry-changing education. So look forward to further developing this.